Hi there, today I'm going to show you 7 of the most common mistakes people make on their Kindle and how to avoid them. Let's dive straight into it. Now, the first common mistake that I see people making when it comes to Kindles is buying a Kindle at full price. Now, normally I'm a big believer in not waiting for a sale or a discount. If you need something, just go ahead and buy it. But when it comes to the Kindle, there are so many sales throughout the whole year and they are so predictable. Right off the bat, I can tell you the best Kindle deals during the year will be on Prime Day as well as Black Friday. So if you really want to buy a Kindle, I'd recommend waiting for either of those 2 days, usually in July and also in November. So you have 2 very good options to buy a Kindle on those days. On both of those holidays, you're going to see discounts on all the Kindles, and they're always going to be the biggest discounts of the year. But even outside of those 2 holidays, there are other random holidays throughout the year where Amazon will mark down all of their Kindles. Moving right along, the next common mistake that I see people make on their Kindle is not filtering their Kindle library. As you own your Kindle, you're going to end up buying more and more books, which will end up making your home screen very cluttered. You're going to end up with a very large list of books, but lucky for us, there's a very nifty feature that'll help us filter down this list to the books that we want to see. Personally, I have the filters turned on, so I only see the books that are actually downloaded on my Kindle that are unread, so I don't want to see books that I've already finished. And on top of that, I make sure I have the book type selected so it filters out all these audiobooks that I use on Audible. This makes navigating the home screen so much easier. There are also other sorting options. You can turn on the cover mode so you can see all the covers, or you can also have it set to list mode, which is a very easy way of listing through all the titles. So there's so many options to choose from, and having these available to us is a must-use feature. Now, the third common mistake that I see people making on their Kindle is tapping to turn pages instead of swiping. Early on, when I first bought my Kindle, I was reading in bed and I was trying to turn the page, and I accidentally reached across the entire screen with my thumb and dropped the Kindle on my face. It was a very painful experience. After that night, I actually learned a very handy shortcut. Instead of tapping on the right side of the screen like you're taught to do to turn the page, all you have to do actually is swipe in the right or left direction to turn the page, and you can do that anywhere on the screen. So instead of having to reach over to the other side of the screen while you're reading in bed, simply swipe on the screen and you'll get the same effect. Now, before going into the other common mistakes people make on their Kindle, I want to do a quick shout out for a book that I recently wrote called Kindle Bookworm. If you want to learn 46 different Kindle tips and tricks, I wrote a short book. It takes you about an hour to read the whole thing that'll walk you through every single Kindle feature that you need to know. Link for the book down below. Now, the next common mistake that I see people making on their Kindle is not utilizing Prime reading. As a Kindle customer, you are probably also a Prime member on Amazon, and you have access to something called Prime Reading, which is basically a library of books that you can borrow for free. If you go to the Kindle store, there's a whole section called Prime Reading, and this is where you can see all the books that are available to you. There are actually some really good titles mixed in here. Some are old, some are new, and I strongly encourage you look through here to find some new books. On top of that, if you are an Amazon Prime customer, you have access to something called First Reads. At the beginning of every month, Amazon will offer you 1 free book from a new book that's coming out basically. It's a great way to get a free book every month. Moving right along, the next common mistake that I see people making is not utilizing the warm light functionality on their Kindle. Now, typically the warm light on the Kindle is meant for reading at night or in darker conditions, but I love using the warm light even during the daytime. Just having it on a little bit makes such a big difference. It makes your Kindle feel more like a natural book. Now, every Kindle being sold right now, with the exception of the Kindle Basic, does have adjustable warm light, and I strongly encourage you to play with that setting even a little bit. It'll make your reading experience so much more pleasant. Now, the next common mistake that I see people making is not taking their privacy more seriously on their Kindle. Now, you're probably wondering what's so important about privacy on a Kindle. I'm just using it to read books, but it turns out Amazon is actually tracking everything you do on your Kindle and using that data to serve you more personalized advertisements and increase their awareness of you for marketing purposes. I don't like it when big tech companies companies track everything that I do, so I always try to find ways to opt out when I can. And on the Kindle, there is a secret setting that you can go to opt out of the privacy that they're invading on your Kindle. Now, when you disable this privacy option, it does not mean that you're going to stop seeing advertisements for books across all your devices, but it does mean you're opting out of Amazon tracking your reading preferences and stuff like that, so they can't serve you more personalized advertisements, and it means that they have a harder time building a profile about you. If you want to take this even one step further, you can also turn off the whisper sync setting over here. This is a bit more of an extreme option because it'll disable the syncing feature across all your devices, and it'll also stop third-party apps like Readwise from working. However, if you only read on your Kindle and no other device at all, turning this off will definitely make you more private on your Kindle. They'll stop being able to track every tap that you make on your Kindle. Now, the last common mistake that I see people making on their Kindle is not taking notes while reading. This is definitely the number one thing that I see people doing. It's such an important functionality to have on your Kindle. It's probably the number one reason why I bought my Kindle in the first place, yet most people don't even touch those features at all. I have an entire video that talks about the note-taking functionality on your Kindle. Whether it's fiction or nonfiction, I guarantee you will benefit from these features. Link for that video on the screen right now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.